Shalom, call Halal, Yahawah, Sham, Bahasham, Rawchaa, Qadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops, salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners among the heathens, that look like the heathen. And to the Yahawah that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you another lesson in truth. And what you're looking at, shout out to the brother Zahar, for another small cachet of books. But beloved brother, you could slow down. I'm running out of room. I don't have no more room, brother. I got on my own library and what these brothers have gifted me and sent to me. I'm overflowing with books now, so but the water, I got over 80 books that I've yet to even touch yet. So the water. So now that that's out the way, the book before me is beautiful because this book is called The Discourse and Evidence of the American Indians Being Descendants of the Lost Tribes of Israel by M.M. Noah, delivered before the Mercantile Library Association, Clinton Hall, in 1837. And this is a copy of, and I actually have it physically in my hand. And this is a copy of it, and he did that in 1837. Let's see if I can. All right. As you can see, in New York, 1837. As a matter of fact, it even has a. So this is a print of his speech, of what the speech that he gave. So all this, they're not, Israelites. The people saying that, they're in their feelings and they've been duped by the lie which Esau created, that you identify by color, because they subscribe to it, and it has nothing to do with the color of your skin. That's a new world thing. That's kind of small to see. I don't know if I can get it to focus on it, but what it says is it says, entered according to Act of Congress in 1837 by James Vander, whatever his name is. It's so small. Hold on, let's go back. What's his name? Vanderpool? Van Norden. By James Van Norden. All right. In the clerk's office of the District Court of the United States for the Southern District of New York. So these are legitimate records. This is a record of his speech. All right. The second book, The Negro Question. All right. The Missing Link also have testimonies from speeches speaking upon the Scots, the Irish, the Brits, and them being Negro in nature. So who is Charles? Because this right here, Britain, that's Charles II. All right, you can even see he looked like that dude from Dave Chappelle that was always Ashy Larry. All right, but Charles II was nicknamed Black Boy. All right, and he was beheaded by Cromwell. You study the history of Oliver Cromwell and his brother. They were responsible for getting rid of the Black Scots, the Black British, the Black Irish, and removing the royal black families, so-called black families, from there and replacing them, shortly after the Renaissance began. Most of this started happening in the 1600s. Okay, so let's get a couple scriptures, and then I'm gonna read a little bit of this, because I gotta read this book. I haven't read the book, so this is totally organic. This Missing Link I have read and used it a couple times in lessons in the past. But let me go to one of my favorite scriptures. All right, actually I'm gonna read two. 3. Let's turn that off. Somebody putting up a video. That was a notice. Brothers be on their grind for Yahawah, Yahawashi. But the first scripture is going to be Deuteronomy 33 and 29. And it reads, Happy art thou, O Israel, who is like unto thee, O people saved by Yahawah, the shield of thy help, and who is the sword of thy excellency, and thy enemies shall be found liars unto thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places. All right. The lies are the strongholds of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, and the truth is coming out about who they are, all right, and who we really are. And they've, and it's insult to injury that they developed a society where we're purposely put to the bottom, and where they give you the illusion that you actually have a chance, that you can pull yourself up by the bootstraps, because they'll let a few people through the cracks to make it look as if, see, if they did it, you can do it too, and that's not the case. And to deny that there's a system of perpetual racism as far as being a buffer between so-called Negro success in America, because they do the same thing to the Northern Kingdom, but it's worse to Judah, right? And the reason that being is because they understand that Judah is the head tribes, and they understand the prophecy. If Judah raises up, everybody else will follow. All right, because even in Judah's lowest state, in this low state that Judah's in, they're still trendsetters. Most of your modern, day appliances and inventions were created by Judah. From the industrial age, from time of slavery to the industrial age up until now. You're just just to mention a few: the toilet, ice cream, tennis shoes, stoplight, the third rail, the elevators, the elevated train line, where the thing raises up and touches it for power, refrigerator, the stove, the mop, the washing machine. I mean, the list just goes on and on, but yet, you got all these white superiority doctrines that still to this day talk as if these people, contributed nothing to society, which is a complete and total lie. All right. And then in the early 1900s, they actually built up neighborhoods and societies that were surpassing white people and so-called white people in this country, and they could not and would not have it, and they burned and destroyed them all with violence, and then they implemented laws to ensure that it would never happen again. All right, to the point where eventually they even attacked the family unit itself and removed the so-called Negro man from the family with all this family law and all these different laws that they set up. This I don't need no man thing. They set that up. All right. But let me continue. I got into my feelings. So Salakia, I got angry because, they sit up and deny that they've done these things. All right. And the next scripture was going to be Obadiah 1:6. And it reads, how are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? Well, through the prophecies, through the scriptures, and through the understanding of it. And then, the number one book is the one that I'm reading. But you got all these books that were written, especially those that were written in the early 1900s, the 1800s, the 1700s. And now I have a thorough collection of books. I got books from the 1600s now. And the things that were being said by the scholars and the people who are even closer in time to the events that took place during, from the Bible and during the time of the Dark Ages, they tell a different story to this, this post Johann Blumenbach, Sigmund Freud, and this whole Hamitic theory, white superiority lies and doctrines that have been pushed in the late 1800s. They completely are different from the things that were said in the 1600s. All right. Let's get one more scripture. Matter of fact, I'll say that one for the end. Let me just go to the book, to the first book. First group of receipts and evidences. So I'm on page 1 in this this speech that was given by M.M. Noah. All right. So Discourse. It says, those who study the scriptures either as a matter of duty or pleasure, who seek in them divine revelations or search for the records of history, cannot be ignorant of the fact that the Jewish nation at the early period was divided into 12 tribes and occupied their ancient heritage under geographical divisions, not color, all right, during the most splendid periods under the kingdom of Judah and Israel. So where's the Jewish coming from? See, that word brings on confusion. Abraham nor Isaac were Jewish. As a matter of fact, none of the 12 tribes were Jewish. Being Jewish today is a religion. They have nothing to do with the bloodline people who are the Israelites. All right. You have to learn the history of when John Hyrcanus, the actual Levite priest in the royal line, of the priest, or say the holy line of the priest, when he took a portion of Edom and made them follow the law, statutes, and commandments. That's when your Jewishness come from. Being Jewish had nothing to do with the 12 tribes. Those were Edomites who converted. Who you think Herod was? The Herodians were Edomites, and they were the Jewish. All right? They had nothing to do with the heritage of Judah and Israel, the kingdom of Judah. All right? So it says their early history and rise, progress, and downfall of the nation, the proud distinction of being the chosen people, their laws, governments, wars, their sovereign judges and temples, their sufferings, dispersions, and various prophecies concerning the ancient and extraordinary people cannot be unknown to you all. For their history is the foundation of religion, their vicissitudes, the result of prophecy, their restoration to the fulfillment of the great promise made to the patriarch Abraham, almost, I may say, an infancy of nature. It is also known to you that the Jewish nation, they're the Israelites. They're not Jewish. All right. Was finally overpowered. 9.5 tribes were carried captives to Samaria. 2.5 with Judah, Benjamin, and half Manasseh remained in Judea. No, it wasn't half Manasseh. It was half Levi. It was a few Manassites that were left in Judea. All right. It says, or the Transjordan cities. The question before the consideration is what has become of the missing dispersed tribes, to what quarter of the world. And the Bible and in Second Ezra is that matter of fact, let me just get it. They came to the new world. They dwelt therefore in another land. You got to remember, I have a book on the shelf behind me. Let me grab it. All right. That mighty brother Tazawan borrowed this out to me. So, unfortunately, I don't own this one. This book still belongs to this brother, but it's called The Medieval Empire of the Israelite. All right. And the ancient world consisted of Asia, Africa, and Europe. And you see Israel in the middle there. And those countries are all connected. Those land masses are all connected. You can walk from all of them. Okay. So the new land, the new world was the West. All right. They left Africa and came into the West. All right. They came to America. That is the land where never mankind had dwelt, because the land masses that you just looked at, mankind has always dwelt there since they have been. America was that untouched paradise, that untouched land. All right. That's talked about. And as a matter of fact, even in Jewish encyclopedias, see if I can find one of those in my evidence folder. Let me go see if I can go to the evidence folder before I continue reading. America was identified by Jewish scholars as, and it's the first one, called Halal. All right, let me make it larger. All right. Bring it into the camera. So this is a Jewish encyclopedia, and it says Asareth, the name of the land beyond the great river, far away from the habitation, in which the 10 tribes of Israel will dwell, observing the laws of Moses until the time of restoration, according to 2 Ezra 13 and 40 through 45. Columbus identified America with this land. C.K. Serling's Christopher Columbus, translated, all right, by Dr. C. Gross, page 15. All right, I actually have that book. We're not going to go into that book. We're going to stay up to 2 until we have. All right, but that book completely gives you more receipts and evidences that Cristobal Colon, who they fraudulently call Christopher Columbus, because he was Jewish, and now there's the argument that he was actually a Jake, which I doubt. But if he was, I wouldn't be surprised, because they've hidden and lied about so much history, and and Jake did some dirty things to their own people. But I seriously doubt if Cristobal Colon was a Jake. But one thing, but here's facts that I do know. All right. I know that he came over with 5 Hebrew interpreters that were all Moors, and they were indeed more crypto Jews, Moors and Morenos, crypto Jews who came out of Portugal and Spain. So one thing for sure is that those Moors and a lot of those crypto Jews were complete sellouts, because a lot of them did do a lot of dirt to their own people. All right. But that's another lesson for another time. Okay. But let's go ahead and grab that in 2 Ezra that he spoke of. So America definitely is that land, and they came over here. She would. Salakia. Okay, Salakia. Let's go to 2 Ezra now. I have the response to that message. 13 and 40. And it reads, "Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, who Salmanassar, king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. But they took counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth and go into a further country where never mankind dwelt. All right, that they may keep their laws and statutes which they never kept in their own land, and they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. For the Most High showed signs for them that held still the flood till they were passed over." So all those rough waters, all right, because the path that they took is they came down into the Indian Ocean, and I don't have that map in front of me right now, but yeah, or the Arabian Sea. Yeah, they left. They came down into the Arabian Sea. All right. Down into the Indian Ocean, and then they went down between Africa and Madagascar, around the Horn of Africa, and then west over into the Americas, and there's some horrific storms and waters that they had to traverse, and the Lord held it back. You also have to think about in the book of Kings when it talks about the servant of Solomon. What's his name? The Mason guy. I forget his name now, but the Hamite, all right, who worked for Solomon, who went on that trip every 3 years, and there were Israelites on that ship at times, all right, and he would go to a land and bring back gold and spices and apes, and he would bring back turkeys, which they call peacocks. He would, when you look it up, it's turkeys. Turkeys are indigenous to the Americas. All right, so you know they were coming over here. The evidence is just overwhelming. That's why Christopher Columbus identified, or Cristobal Colon, identified America as Azareth. Okay? But it says, for through that country there was a great way to go, namely 1.5 years, and the same region is called Azareth. And that's why it took Solomon's ships, Hiram, his name came back to me. It took, Hiram will be gone for 3 years, because it was 1.5 years, a little over 3 years. It was 1.5 years to go, 1.5 years to come back, and plus whatever time it took for them to gather up, while they were there. They would do, collect up whatever they had. All right. So, like I said, I'm gonna get more into this book. So let's jump into the Negro question, and I'm just gonna read one portion because I've gone into this book before. And in this book, in the introduction, they have on page 4 and 5, they have, and 6. I'm gonna read about the Professor Boyd Dawkins. I'm gonna just read page 6. All right. And on page 6, it says Professor Boyd Dawkins, Professor of Geology, Manchester University, London, 1879. And he also gave a speech before in the university, and it was on his book Our Remote Ancestry, pages 95 and 106. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna put that before the camera. It's all highlighted, so anyone could you could screenshot it, and actually search and hunt for this information. All right, receipts, and all this stuff was written by so-called white men, scholars, respected men, highly respected men in that time and era. All right, but it says the original people of Britain, France, Spain, and England were short black men about 5 foot 6 inches in height. They were in England with our forefathers, white English, invaded. When our white fathers, white English, invaded the land in 449 AD, our fathers were warlike people who in 607 had pushed the Basque west into West Wales, Cumberland, Westmore, and the Highlands, Scotland, and Devon. All right. These black people boasted that they were citizens of the Roman Empire, and they were. That's your no difference between the Greek nor Jew. All right. Because Christianity never broke down and gave the understanding that there were 2 sets of Gentiles, and one of those sets of that's why they removed the Apocrypha, to hide the history of the Hellenization of the Israelites. All right, and some of the Israelites were speaking Greek and other languages, and then the other group of Israelites were still cleaving on to their Hebrew heritage, not Jewish heritage. All right, and it says these black people boasted that they were citizens of Rome. The Welsh or the ancient Britons were in possession before the Romans ever came here. The black Basque Britain have brought the knowledge of iron and bronze with them. The iron and bronze technology will be proven perfectly when I show you German tapestry. All right, remember that German tapestry showing you those so-called Negroes fighting off those white wild men from the woods. Yeah. All right. It says they were defending a castle, and the white people were living in the woods. This kind of history just buried and hidden, man. And it's shameful to bring it out because it destroys all the white superiority and narratives that they were created by Johann Blumenbach and Darwinism, which is still taught. All right. But it says these people were herdsmen and they possessed the short-horned ox, the horned sheep, goat, pig, and the horse. Evidence of their civilization can be seen all over the continent of Europe, as well as throughout the British Islands, extending as far as Germany and Switzerland, even France and Spain. These black people originated from Iberian Peninsula. All right, and the word Iberian goes back to Ibar, which is Hebrew. All right, the peninsula of the fragment of the old Spanish population. They were in France, Spain, Ireland, Britain, and Scotland. All right. One of these techniques that I used to employ when detailing my research is to try to close the point of the event to get close to the point of the event as I can Professor Boyd was right there, and he mentioned seeing specimen of black bodies, that's what that means, from different parts of Europe, and states that if you laid them next to each other, you would not be able to tell one corpse from another. All right. And it said the purpose of the section of the book is to prove the beginning of the historians of the 18th and 19th centuries had no problem describing the blackness of early Europeans. Benjamin Franklin, he wrote that book, remember. Professor Boyd Doctors and Howard Churchill gave all the eyewitnesses account of the world order in a generation of Dr. Albert Churchill's. All right. So we've been lied to about history. Okay. So, you know what? I decided I am going to do a part 2 and go back into both of these books. So with that, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Qadash, Wa Abba, Babal, Kwam Yasrala, Shalom.